this shirt don't fit like it used to, and I need another notch on my belt. If you're looking for a six-pack, muscled up kind of man, better look somewhere else. Yeah,
welcome back to another episode of Talking Sports with Dads with Bacon. Gentlemen, how you doing?
Great.
Good. A little toasty here in Pittsburgh.
A little toasty everywhere. I'm not gonna lie. It's been a warm week, but you know, I'm kind of the jerk here in Northeast Wisconsin.
Just here.
I'll walk into that. But we go through all this. I spent 6 years in Mississippi, and I'm like, you know, guys, the guys I work with, and they're in the plant, and, you know, it's been a little warm here this week in the 80s, and I'm like, that was just, I don't know, a day ending with Y for the last 6 years, like 6 of the last 8 years of my life. So I'm like, it's not that bad, guys. It's kind of nice. But for those who are not used to it, it feels a little bit more. Aaron, for yourself, I'm sure it's been a little bit, I don't know, hotter than you're probably comfortable with. But personally, I'll say it's not that bad. It's just not that bad.
You know, I'll tell a quick story here. My wife and I, on July 7th, will be our 12th anniversary. And when we got married back in 2012, we were getting married on a Saturday at the very end of like one of the hottest weeks of that year, like that entire summer. It was, I would say, that whole week leading up to our wedding, it was in like the right around 100 degrees almost every day. Humidity, heat index was probably like 105, 110, something like that every single day. And our wedding was on, I think it was like 95 with the humidity. So it was actually kind of cool. But what was hilarious is we rode for our honeymoon. We road tripped out to Maine. Like we left that Monday after our wedding, because it was in the summertime. My wife's a teacher, so we're like, you know what, let's do the honeymoon now. Let's get her done with and whatever. And so we drove. It's about a 20-hour drive from here to kind of Bunkport where we went. But then we stopped on the way, like halfway is Niagara Falls, almost halfway. So we stopped in Niagara Falls overnight and then went. What was funny about it is that entire week we were in Maine. You know, of course, you're right by the ocean. Kind of Bunkport, you know, we were there for a few days. Then we went up to Bar Harbor, which is further about 3 hours north. And it was absolutely beautiful. But apparently for them, it was hot. And so, like, you saw everywhere we went, people would be like, oh, where are you from? We're Green Bay, Wisconsin. Oh, my goodness. So are you staying cool? And we're just looking at each other like, oh, my God. You know, it was like 10, 15 degrees hotter like the week before in Green, you know.
Right.
It was just kind of funny. Like what your idea of hot is compared to, so you're right. I mean, for us, it's like, man, this sucks. But, you know, if you're in Florida right now or something, it's probably about 115, you know, with the humidity, and same with Vegas. And well, I mean, Charlie down in, you know, you're down in the Atlanta area. I'm sure it's not exactly cool.
I busted the gold bond out weeks ago, guys.
Hot Atlanta.
We were in the 80s last month.
Yeah, exactly. So it's all relative, you know. Then you talk about wintertime, Ben, and you know, it's
right.
Like for us and Troy and Steve. I mean, we're all up here in the north. It's like, you know, it gets down to 40 degrees for Charles down in Atlanta, and they're like, oh my gosh, and for us it's like negative 20. Yeah, whatever.
Oh, absolutely. I definitely go through that. Everyone will be in their parkas. I'm sitting here walking in a t-shirt, and I'm like, what's the problem? I'm cold looking at you guys. But
you mean I gotta wear pants today?
Yeah.
So, someone just bounced in here late. There he is.
It's wicked freaking hot up here, dude. And Troy apparently went punk on us one freaking week off, and this guy decides he wants to become a punk rocker. I love it too.
Oh man!
I'm sorry. Did I say what everyone was thinking?
Oh no! Ben already said it before you came on. The funny thing is, Troy, you should really be. I feel like you should be at Summerfest right now. Summerfest is kicking off in Milwaukee today, the first day. I feel like you should be performing for a band at Summerfest.
I'm a day from vacation, so let's go.
I came in here nicely. I came here nice Troy's throwing elbows at me. Adam's throwing elbows at Troy. I mean, battle royal time here, boys. But before we get too far, let's acknowledge unfortunately the passing of the great Willie Mays. With that, I think it's time for us to talk about our overall MLB or even just baseball in general, Mount Rushmore. So I think it's an appropriate topic for us to go through. Bacon, I want you to start to lead us off, as it were. What's your Mount Rushmore for baseball and why?
And these are tough. I put this out there on, I think, in our group and on my personal page. I mean, got a ton of responses. Of course, I enjoyed some of the Roy Hobbs and some of that kind of stuff too, with people kind of having fun with it. But a lot of different answers. I mean, obviously, I feel like Babe Ruth is like the first one because for how many decades he was the face of baseball. But then after that, you kind of get into it's really interesting because some people only focus on people they've seen, which I understand. I totally get that. Yep. You can't really necessarily say how great Babe Ruth was if he was dead 30-40 years before you were even born. But I feel one of the ones that was kind of shocking to me that was left off of a lot of people's list. And I wish we had Combs on here because, I mean, he's, a huge baseball fan too. And he put on, I want to say he put on Pete Rose as one of his, or somebody put on Pete Rose. It may not have been Combs. And I thought that was interesting because obviously, the home run or the all-time hits leader and great player and everything. But, can you put him on there with all the gambling stuff, even though he didn't gamble supposedly while he was a player? So, that's why you're putting him on there. Jackie Robinson was left off a lot of lists, which I was kind of surprised at.
Yeah, I forgot about that one.
And I kind of feel like he should be on there just because of the impact that he made. But then somebody I asked about that who left him off, he made a good point. He's like, well, I'm looking more at stats than I am necessarily, being the first at something isn't necessarily, as big as, whatever. And it was a decent explanation. I thought, okay, that's fine. Cause I mean, he had Mays on there. He had, I think Hank Aaron on there. He had just this particular person that left off Robinson. So, I feel Mays obviously should be on there. So Babe Ruth, Mays. I would put Jackie Robinson on there over Hank Aaron.
Yeah, I can see that.
I could easily put Hank Aaron on there with all those other three though too. I feel like Nolan Ryan could be on there. I mean, one of the greatest pitchers ever. I think Ty Cobb was on a few lists, which I thought was interesting because he was apparently such an asshole. But hey, well, I mean, it's not really you're not putting on there. So I guess I'll stop rambling here. Ruth, Robinson, Willie Mays, and I'm gonna throw on Nolan Ryan. I have to at least have somebody on there who I've seen. Those are my four.
I'm gonna go with a hot take here, guys. Baseball players are assholes in general. I mean, look, and I love baseball. I played baseball, but I'm just gonna call it what it is. Yeah. In general, baseball players are kind of assholes. That's not really avoidable. There's exceptions. Don't be wrong. There's some great guys who played. Roberto Clemente. There are some great people in the mix. But, I mean, Ty Cobb is unfortunately the norm, not the exception in that situation. I mean, I would have loved to have met Yogi Berra just to hear him talk. It sounds like it's been a fun time to just listen to him. But that's not my lot in life. Anyway, Troy, what's your Mount Rushmore and why?
Well, I mean, Aaron brought up a good point there about Rose, and Rose was really hard to leave off my list, and I wanted to put him on. I was really debating between him and Ruth. I feel like Ruth obviously was the face for so many years. He also was the face against, let's just call it what it was, much less competition than what other people.
Here we go again.
What, is it not true?
Doesn't matter.
Dominate a sport.
Doesn't
10
matter.
Plus years, you're one of the all-time.
You're facing one ball and one pitcher at a time. That's
Correct.
all that matters in baseball.
Anyway, I think it's hard to leave Willie Mays off this list because not only was he a great hitter and stuff, but probably one of the greatest fielders of all time. Hank Aaron, obviously, I mean, that guy was just so consistent year in, year out. So those are my three fielders, and I threw Christy Williamson in here.
Who?
Christy Williamson, or is it Mathewson?
I've never heard of either.
I was on a Rushmore if you can't say their name.
Hold on.
It's Christy Matheson, Troy.
Christy Matheson. So that was what I was looking up. It was I was like, can you have a Mount Rushmore without a dominant pitcher? And that was my problem. So I almost feel like you should have two different Mount Rushmores, maybe one for a fielder, one for pitchers. I don't know.
Troy,
so
I was just going to ask Aaron that when he got all the comments about it. It's like you're talking about a general Mount Rushmore, but it's like you have all these amazing hitters, and then you think of just all of the amazing pitchers that we've seen.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, how do you figure out a way to combine them and
so that's what I was looking at. I was looking at stats, wins, strikeouts, innings pitched, all that kind of stuff, and then that's when I came down to Mathewson there, and that's when I thought according to stats and stuff like that, he seemed like the top one on the list. But I mean, you could break it down into, like I said, hitters and pitchers. You go with pitchers. I mean, that's a whole other debate, right? I mean,
it is.
Probably throw Maddox in there, Nolan Ryan.
A few people did give me their hitters and their pitchers. So go
separate, which doesn't make sense because
So I mean that's where I sit on it. I think there should be two lists, honestly.
Yeah. I think that's fair.
We're closers versus starters.
Yeah, really. I mean, there you go. You could break it down even further. Infielders, outfielders.
Closer.
Yeah, hitters versus fielders. There's a lot of things you can look at here, right? I mean, Vlad Guerrero as a DH it stands out, obviously. As a fielder, you would want to ignore it. But I mean, Vlad as a hitter, hard to ignore.
I always think of Edgar Martinez too.
Right. Yeah. But even JD Martinez right now, the guy is as a DH, anyone would want him right now in that position. But you wouldn't dare put him in the field right now.
Same thing with David Ortiz. Like you put him up there with all with Vlad and everyone else. It's like if you're gonna do it by position, like Ortiz never was in the field, but he's one of the all-time great hitters in baseball.
Well, I mean that's
one of the all-time clutch guys.
That's almost a good way to put it, Adam. Right there is, can you do a Mount Rushmore, or can you just break it down and say who are the best 9 position players plus your DH?
Yeah.
Right, because like Ortiz is not going to have the stats of some of the legends of the game that we're talking about in a Rushmore. But when you watch Ortiz play, it's the stuff you don't see on the field. It's the leadership off the field, and was Mr. Clutch. When you needed him to come through, Ortiz was there to come through. And it's again, so like I do think there's different ways of evaluating an overall Mount Rushmore.
The hardest part here is looking at catchers, though. Because I think catchers, to me, you look at the game as a whole, and I think the Cardinals are a prime example of this. Yadi Molina's impact on the Cardinals run the last 20 years.
Yes. Cannot be understated.
I hate Yadi Molina. But he is one of the best players of all time, and that's readily evident based on what the Cardinals did last year.
Yeah.
Can I even throw a guy in here who had a much shorter career, but also had a huge impact like that? How about Buster Posey?
Yes.
Oh man.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
I mean, look, they're guys who can go through, and again, this is one of those things that I think that I'm going to go a little bit like, let me wax poetic for a second here, but the barroom debate, which is what this show is all about, right, is lost in the day of the smartphone. You know, where we can just get along together as guys, call out names of these greats, and just have that moment of, hey, that dude was freaking awesome, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. David Ortiz. Yeah. How about the 04 freaking series? How cool was that? You know, just go through those moments in your mind. And of all the guys that find some random chick from Wisconsin to marry, freaking Big Poppy. Think of that one up. But anyway.
How about this? Somebody put out, and I don't know what statistic they're basing this on, top 5 pitchers based on some metric, but listen to this. Johnny Bench, Gary Carter, Pudge Rodriguez, Carlton Fisk, and Mike Piazza.
What? What a list.
I mean, you can't really go wrong with any of those guys, right?
Yeah.
and the list keeps going.
Yeah.
Well, again, if you're looking at overall contribution by scarcity in their role, again, Mike Piazza, the guy shouldn't have been. He's the bumblebee of baseball. He shouldn't be what he was. He was. The guy shouldn't have been able to fly, but he did.
What was he, like a 45th round pick or something?
I mean, well, right. The guy was too big for the position he played, but he played it anyway. He played it for a long time. He played it at a high level. The guy could freaking mash. But anyway, sorry, Adam, it's your turn. What's your Mount Rushmore and why?
I didn't really think a lot of this. Like, I'm listening to the conversations and the debates back and forth. And again, there's amazing. Troy, Aaron brings up good points. Troy brings up good points. You have to start with Babe Ruth. And then how are people leaving Ted Williams off this list?
That was hard. That was another one. Rose, Williams, those were really hard.
I'll tell you why here in a little bit, by the way.
So Ted Williams, again, Boston guy, he still owns, and you think about the power we have now in baseball, still owns the furthest home run in Fenway. There was still a seat out in the bleachers, the red seat for the furthest home run ever hit in Fenway Park, and it still belongs to Ted Williams. Jackie Robinson, purely for the impact that he had to change the entire game of baseball. And then I think it's Hank Aaron. I don't know about Willie Mays, but when I think all-time greats, somehow Hank Aaron just keeps coming to mind. And, Mays would be on that list. If you want to talk, I mean, you can talk, a pitcher Mount Rushmore too, but there's so many, but I think sometimes people forget what Ted Williams did. Oh, by the way, when World War II started, Williams stopped his baseball career, served, and then came back.
And started hitting.
I believe that's what it was. Yeah, and then was still dominant.
Toilet Ninja.
Yes, sir.
Charlie.
You can't include yourself, Charlie.
So Adam and Troy, they don't want Mount Rushmore. They want an entire mountain range. I'm just going to give you guys straight up 2 quick lists. I'm going to give you what I think is the Mount Rushmore of baseball. And my list is basically, I feel I put it together more based on what they did for the game.
Okay.
Statistically, all these guys are absolute masters, but I'll go ahead and tell you right now, Babe Ruth is not on my Mount Rushmore.
Okay.
And I think that these guys did more for the game than he did. I think he was the face of baseball because he was the only one to be the face of baseball. That's all they had then. Mm-hmm. If he played in today's game, he would not be anywhere.
Let's not bring that up.
But and then I'm just gonna fire off my personal little Mount Rushmore. Like if I was looking at it, the guys that I would want to see up there.
Okay.
And all of that's just because those are like my dudes. But Hank, for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
One of the dude, I mean, the home run master went through. He fought the same fight that a lot of other guys did too throughout his career and stood tall, throughout it. So
and stands against that asshole thing that most of them have.
Right? Then I've got, dude, I don't know how anybody could not have Nolan Ryan on theirs. Like, seriously, the greatest pitcher ever. Like, oh my gosh. I mean, he did it against some of the best hitters, the best competition, and he did it like no one else. He defined pitching, and then the next face on there redefined pitching, and that's Greg Maddux, who belongs there. And I'll tell you, we actually have a game a pitcher can pitch that if he does, we call it a Maddux. You could probably call a no-hitter a Nolan, but nobody ever does. But you throw 9 innings, get a win with under 100 pitches, we actually call that a Maddux. You know?
What's that one, Charles, where he threw a 78 pitch complete game or something like that?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. He's got more complete games under 100 pitches than anybody else. Dude, he was a master. I mean, he was a master. And then my other guy is Ken Griffey Jr., who turned a generation into baseball fans. Like, seriously, the kid came up and we all loved it. We ate it up. I feel like if you could figure out the numbers, he might have brought more fans to baseball than any other player. I mean, that guy's that's a legend. And I don't think you can have a Mount Rushmore of baseball without his face up there because he's one of the most recognizable faces in baseball. So that's my Mount Rushmore. And all of those guys, I mean, top
I like it.
at their respective positions. So, and then personally, man, if I could have a little Mount Rushmore, I would so have Ozzie Smith, Frank Thomas, David Justice, and Ellie De La Cruz right up there.
Ellie, it's way too early.
Did you?
Is it?
Yes!
It might be the best thing ever.
Look, we are all dumber for hearing you speak, and may God have mercy on your soul. Steve, your turn.
You guys are all stealing my thunder.
Charlie, are you
lister-
okay? You feeling okay, Charlie? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
How was Mike
Keep
Trout
going,
not
guys.
there over Ellie? Come on.
Hey, that dude, I love that guy, man. He is quickly becoming one of my
All right,
all-time
yeah,
favorite
Charlie, you, Adam, me, handicap match, Battle of the Words, July 7th.
I'm not fighting early.
If we were creative, Battle of the Wits, here we go. Steve, it's your turn. Sorry interrupting you. Let's go, brother.
It's all good. My thunder has been stolen already, so we'll go with I can make it very quick. My first Mount Rushmore is going to be Jackie Robinson, Roberto Clemente. It's a little bit of a homer pick, but man, what he did in the time that he was here, and what he probably would have done if he had not tragically left us. I mean, he left a chapter unwritten in his book, and I've heard so many stories of folks of seeing Clemente in person and hearing about his athleticism as well as humanitarianism, and both of them were amazing. Greg Maddux actually is on my list as well. Hank Aaron. I mean, two Atlanta people for someone not from Atlanta but has a wife from Atlanta. So that's where we're going with that. Came up with this.
Hank was in Milwaukee. He was in Milwaukee.
Yeah. I came up with another list too. That's kind of a present day mixed with a past. But let's look at Ted Williams with Jackie Robinson. Let's throw in Babe Ruth. And then someone who in I think 20 years is going to be all over Mount Rushmores of not only American Mount Rushmores, but of international Mount Rushmores, and that is Shohei Ohtani.
Said it. You know what I'm concerned with?
Adam's hating on you right now while he kisses the absolute ass of
my championship winning Celtics.
Well, that too.
Anyway. I thought Ohtani would have been on the same Mount Rushmore as Pete Rose.
Right.
Hey, Troy, I would have Ohtani's interpreter.
I'll tell you what, though. Guys, to wrap this section up, I'll say this.
Can we just talk about that for a second? Ohtani versus Trout. If Trout doesn't get injured as much as he is, early on in his career, he was making a serious case for going up on that list of the Mount Rushmore.
What he did,
but then he just started getting riddled with injuries, and then it's just, he's one of the greatest one of the greatest 5-tool players the game's ever seen.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Because he has his cheeseburgers.
I just had my cheeseburger. What do you say about that, Ben?
So did I. That's why I have a busted body and not an MLB player or anything else.
Look, Dad bods over here.
Look, absolutely. So my Mount Rushmore, Henry Rowan Gardner, Benjamin Franklin, Ricky Vaughn, and Mel Clark. I'm
not going to lie. When you said Rowan Gardner, I thought it was like the offensive tackle out of Washington that was just drafted, Roger Rosengarten.
No, in all seriousness, I got Nolan Ryan, Stan Musial, Hank Aaron, and Johnny Bench. That's my Mount Rushmore.
Yep.
And so it's but a shout out to the cinematic universe that gave us those great baseball movies also. But on Nolan Ryan, I mean, for me as a kid, that's the guy who got me into baseball, not the kid. Like Ken Griffey, I couldn't have cared less. The guy who's hat on backwards and his sleeves cut off, screw that guy. Give me a guy who can strike out everybody, including the kid. I want to see the old guy who walked up, looked at you, was ready to punch you in the face even if you're 20 years younger than he was. I love Nolan Ryan. That dude was an absolute badass before badasses were even a thing in baseball. I loved it. Nolan Ryan, like my favorite card I've ever had was It wasn't even worth anything. It still doesn't worth anything. There's the picture of Nolan Ryan using a jail block with all the marks in the back of the wall, all the tallies of strikeouts. Freaking love that card. The dude is just a beast. My first baseball hat I ever bought was a Texas Rangers hat. I hate the Rangers. Love the hat with Nolan Ryan.
There you go. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't he the only pitcher in MLB history to have 20 strikeouts in a game? I thought he had a 20-something stat that hasn't been touched. Everyone's on Google right now. I could have done that too,
absolutely.
I'm pretty sure Kerry Wood did it.
I don't think he's the only one to do it.
Roger Clemens did it.
There you go.
I feel like Nolan Ryan was known for
Johnson.
something.
That's somebody we didn't talk about. Randy Johnson.
Yeah.
Yep. He was awesome too.
He's a dove killer or pigeon killer.
Anyway.
Let's put Randy Johnson and the Bird on Mount Rushmore together.
Yeah.
That's it.
Peter won't allow him on Mount Rushmore.
Give the Birds a chance to crap back on him, people. Give the Birds a chance to crap back on him. Hey, best photographer in sports right now, Randy Johnson.
You know.
All right. So
before we move topics here, Ben, you know what we know what everything that we have in common is? We really haven't said, with the exception of Steve wanting to put Shohei on there already, we haven't said one player's name in the last 10 to 15 years of the game. Any of the new generation. Trout, I think, has become the closest. Shohei is going to be up there. But, name me someone else that has had an impact on any side of the ball that you could seriously consider to be up there as one of the greats of all time. It's Trout,
Kershaw?
It's Ohtani,
Albert
Roy
Pujols,
Halladay, maybe. I mean, what? Who?
Kershaw?
Albert Pujols with the Cardinals.
Pujols, yes. Okay, Pujols. Roy Halladay. Maybe when Verlander's career is all said and done, Verlander could be on there. But I mean,
argue. Let's begin with the Giants.
Again, Posey. You can argue Sandoval, who was important just as much as Posey on those championships.
Yadier Molina, you can argue.
It's weird to me that when we think legends of the game,
Trevor Hoffman,
we're not thinking anyone current. No one's really had that level of impact that these other legends we talked about is. It just kind of stood out to me.
Baseball's a game of legend.
Rafael
Belliard to create legend, and that's the thing with
Belliard.
But I mean, seriously though, think about what we've seen.
His 181 average. And
give me a chance to see these guys become think about the home runs, the long home runs we talk about of the days of old. Do we really think these guys hit 600-foot moon shots? I don't. I think it's a legend. I think guys talk about that because that's what they want to believe. I mean, but it's fun. It's like believing in superheroes. Yeah. It makes you suspend disbelief because you know what? That's the little romantic side in all of us sports fans. Like, hey, you know what? That's freaking awesome. I want to believe that. I will stop being a disbeliever for a second because I want to. I'm
trying not.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I'm trying not to be a homer, but I want to bring up the name Acuna just because I wonder if are we not talking about him just because of the injuries? Is that the only reason, or would he not even be in the conversation without the injuries?
It's just too early for me.
Too early.
His talent is there.
I'm just saying. I mean, the guy puts up a 40-70 season. I mean,
it's quite possible when Acuna and Ohtani's careers are done, they could very well be in that conversation.
Acuna is just too young. I want to see him at 34, 35. What does he do?
Yep.
I mean, if you're looking at comparables for anyone in the mid-20s, I mean, I don't know. Mookie Betts, you can argue for as well. The guy has amazing skills. Manny Ramirez, at that same age, you would have made the same argument. The guy is bad to ball skills, were incredible, but scandals brought him down. Barry Bonds, nobody talked about. Sammy Sosa,
we all let Bonds off our list.
Well, I mean, there's a reason for that.
Bonds sucks.
No, I get that. I get it. But I'm just saying that these are all Barry Bonds, Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa. You can argue saved baseball.
They might have.
Yeah.
How about Cal Ripken Jr.? We have not talked about Ripken.
We haven't talked to him either.
Cal Ripken, the problem you're going to have with him, and I love Cal Ripken Jr. Love him. But we're talking about the top four of all time. He's the toughest of all time, no doubt. But was he the best contact hitter of all time? No. Was he the best power hitter of all
Not that I'm aware
time?
of.
No. Was he the best fielder of all time? No. But he was the most reliable of all time. That's just, you know what I'm saying? It's a tough one to put into perspective in the end of the day, which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
But moving to the next topic here, we've got some fun with our resident Bills and Pats fans in the house. I want to jump into this AFC East preview. Adam, I'm sorry, your team sucks.
I told you all we suck. We did what we had to do in the draft.
Oh no, we suck again.
The Pats suck. We know it. But Aaron, I want to start with you though. Look at this division. Let's jump into the preview with you. What do you see in the division, and what are you watching in the AFC East this year?
Well, yeah, I would say, to me, the Miami Dolphins, I'm looking at them as being the Troy, you're gonna love that. I think they're the front runners right now, and the only reason I say that is because we don't know what the hell's going on with Buffalo's wide receiving core.
Wide receiver core?
Well, exactly. That's one of the biggest question marks.
Excuse me, Patriots guy. Who needs wide receivers?
Jalen Polk is better than Keon Coleman.
Keon Branch. Who else? Terry Glenn. I mean, come on,
Randy
man.
Moss. You're welcome.
How many Super Bowls did they win with him?
That's their problem.
That's your problem, Adam, technically. Please,
I
wasn't coaching the team.
Here's what I think. One of the biggest things that'll be the most interesting to me is what the hell Aaron Rodgers does, and if he's able to come back and actually do anything decent, and what he's going to be like after the Achilles injury. Does he hurt his other leg? But I would still say, barring a late season collapse or an issue with, injuries like they had last year, I still think this is Miami's division to win.
Yep.
And I think, you might see actually Buffalo and the Jets get in as wild cards. But I think right now, if I have to pick, it would be Miami 1, Buffalo 2, the Jets 3, and New England 4. I think Buffalo will figure out a way to get the passing game going. I think it's going to be probably one of the more interesting things that we're going to see in the AFC East this season.
Mm-hmm.
Troy, how about you?
You going to me? All right.
Yeah. Let's go to you.
I would agree with you. And in fact, if I'm looking back at my predictions here, I thought Miami was probably the team. If anybody wasn't going to beat Buffalo last year, it was going to be Miami. And
yeah,
I just don't know that I think they lost too much on their defense. I think they lost way too much on their defense.
The amount of injuries they had in the late part of the season leading into the playoff run, that's tough for any team with any caliber offense to overcome.
And now they got they're both their edge rushers are coming back, off ACL tears. They lost what's the big guy in the middle?
Christian Wilkins.
There you go. They lost him. Didn't they lose somebody on the back end? I mean, they got Jordan Poyer, but let's face it, Jordan Poyer's lost a step. And I hate to say that because I love Jordan Poyer, but he's lost a step.
Right. He has.
I don't know. I mean, they moved on from Xavier Howard. Now they did pick up. Did they get Dante Jackson? Is that who they got from the Panthers?
Kendall Fuller.
Okay, that's right, from the Commanders. That's right. I forget who got Jackson. I don't remember who got him. But anyway, I still think the Dolphins are the team that scare me the most if I'm the Bills. The Jets have the most complete team. I said this last year, Ben. I will not say anything that the Jets will do anything good until they prove me wrong. Because every year the Jets jet. Every year they find a way to screw it up. So I think that's gonna be the case again this way. How is it? I don't know, but they'll figure out a way to do it. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is already skipping practices to go to some rendezvous that he had scheduled. I don't even know. And the coach comes right out and says, "No, it wasn't excused. He's going to be fined." Like, what kind of leader is that? Like, I mean, what is
Well,
going
you know,
on?
and let me just say this, and I like their and now I'm drawing a blank, of course, their coach. Salah. I like him.
I do
But
too.
right before he said he came out and you know admitted that it was not an excused absence, he had made the comment, I believe, or maybe not right before, but that you know we're focused 100% on football, no distractions this year. And then the reporter asks him, well, you know, is Aaron Rodgers an excuse? And he was like, no, it's not. It just, all you had to do is say, yeah, it was, or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, you
or that's an internal matter or whatever,
yeah,
you know?
Yeah. You just made it a huge freaking story in New York. It would have been a big story in Green Bay. You made it even bigger in New York by admitting that, Robert. Come on, use your head, man. Just, just say, yeah, it was an excuse. It's fine, whatever. And then you can chew his ass out, you know, over the phone or whatever behind closed doors. But come on, dude, be smarter than that. Anyway.
Continue. So no, I mean, I still think this is Buffalo's division to win. It has, I really think that Buffalo really likes what a lot of the other teams, specifically Kansas City, Green Bay, are doing with not having that number one receiver that you need to funnel everything through, and you can kind of go to different receivers, and the defense doesn't know who to focus on at that point. Crazy as it is, and I hated that they picked this guy up, but apparently Chase Claypool is lighting shit up in OTAs and stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Happy preseason.
I understand that, but is it possible this guy realizes this is his last chance? Is it possible?
Yes.
Yeah.
You know,
after getting in Pittsburgh, yes.
You have to understand with Chase Claypool, he's always had the talent. I think his attitude may have gotten in the way of certain things.
Yep, I agree.
And I think that might have been the reason he kicked out of Pittsburgh and then quickly shuffled throughout the league. If he's realized, like, yes, this is my last chance, I need to do something, and he's actually focused, the talent hasn't gone anywhere. The kid's still, mid-20s?
Yeah.
Talent hasn't gone anywhere. If he can emerge...
Third, maybe? I mean, fifth. Something like that.
Well, regardless, like, if his talent can emerge, maybe he can be a 2.
Yeah. I hate the Keon Coleman pick, but
the
dude's full of personality. He's a lot of fun to listen to.
I couldn't believe some of the stuff that after the draft. Some of the stuff that he was doing funny in the locker room.
When he went to his post-draft interview, and he came in with that big fluffy jacket on, and then he said, "You know where I got this?" And I guess he was at Michigan State before he went to Florida State. And the one guy said Tom Izzo, and I'm thinking, are you trying to get Izzo in trouble, like saying that he got this guy a jacket or something? But anyway, he's really fun. He's got a lot of personality. I just hope the separation and the speed kind of comes along for him. That scares me a little bit because every time when Allen first came into the league, and now granted, he's a totally different quarterback than he was when he first came in, but they tried to give him bigger bodied possession type receivers, and it didn't work out. Then they moved on to the smaller guys, the John Browns, the Cole Beasleys, the Stephon Diggs, and that's when things really started to seem to thrive for him. So now we're kind of going back to the big body guys here again, and I'm just worried that it's a step back, and I don't know what's going to happen there. But the main thing here is I don't think the receivers are the main focus anymore. This is going to be a very heavy 12 personnel offense, and you're going to Dalton Kincaid is going to be the man in this offense.
He's the wide receiver one.
He really is. He is the number one target in this offense. So I still think it's their division to win, but I think it's going to be tight. And, I say all this stuff about the Jets. I think the Jets will be there in the end. I think they'll be close, and I think that totally depends on Rodgers' health. But I could very easily see 3 teams coming out of this into the playoffs. I very easily could see that.
So the Bills are going to adopt the Art Smith version of the offense. Understood. And we'll see what happens there. Adam, I'm curious what GM of the Patriots thinks about the division he's facing.
GM of the league. Everyone knows I did an entire NFL draft breakdown series. I broke down position by position. I went over stats. I went over what they did in college. The amount of film I watched is more college football I've ever seen in my entire life. There were a lot of players I was not thrilled with. Caleb Williams, no thank you. Too much hero ball. Drake May, I was not impressed with at all, though then again, to give him the benefit of the doubt, he was playing behind one of the worst offensive lines I've ever seen. They could not hold anybody back. So I don't know if there's something else that he saw. The kid seems like he has a really positive attitude, but I'm not thrilled with Drake May at all. But the Patriots seem to like him. It was clearly Mayo's pick. It was Kraft's pick. More power to him. I'll go over the Patriots first. This is going to be a top 3 pick in the draft next year. There's no doubt. Polk is immediately slotting in as a 1. Polk is not a 1. He is a 2. Polk is not an alpha. Polk is one of the most consistent catch guys that I watched on film. And there was a lot between picks 32, 33, 34 with the Bills, and then pick 36 with the Patriots for wide receivers. You know who was higher on their board than Jalen Polk? My guy, Xavier Legette. The kid's going to be a freaking superstar. And what did the Panthers do? Moved up to 32 to snatch him. Because having Legette on the Bills, having Legette on the Patriots, didn't matter. Immediately changes the wide receiver core. The dude is a stud. Polka's a great 2. You think about what Javon Baker could be. He has the ceiling of an alpha. He just has that about him. He needs about a year to develop. Learn behind what Bourne has done. Learn from pros. Do what he needs. Do you think 2 years? It's possible. He's more of a developmental wide receiver. The dude's got the talent. One wide receiver that's not being talked about is Malachi Corley, who the Jets drafted. That dude is a baller. And he is going to immediately help get some of the pressure off Garrett Wilson. And you can say what you want about the Jets. A lot of people had Bowers to the Jets, which made sense. Rodgers has not used tight ends throughout his freaking career. The last time a tight end was relevant with Aaron Rodgers was Jermichael Finley in 2011. It was the last time a tight end was relevant in an Aaron Rodgers offense.
That was some emphasis there, Adam, about that.
Because I'm getting sick and what?
Remind me what happened that time? What happened?
You actually won the Super Bowl. What happened when Rodgers didn't win it?
Wow.
So why did the use of the tight ends drop off there, Ben?
You know, I can tell you exactly why. And there's a few initials to go along with that. There's a few things to go along with that. Mike McCarthy and AR-12 both go into that one. What you saw, look, it's not the Packers right now. I'm not going to go too far into this one. But what you saw was 2 guys who've hurt their career by elimination. They eliminated pieces of their game. And that's what I'm worried about for your Patriots right now. When we talk about breaking the Patriots game down, you eliminate too much, you become too predictable, and it's easy to stop you.
Yeah, this team isn't going anywhere.
That's problem has been. So Mike McCarthy's problem has been. And that's why the Jets are going to be very beatable this year in spite of a pissed-off Aaron Rodgers. But please continue.
I mean, I don't know. That defense is one of the best in the NFL.
They were last year, too. They're still...
Yeah, I know. But, again, from a Patriots perspective, this team is going to be one of the worst in the league. They should be one of the worst in the league because this should be looked at as a Mayo investing in his people, taking the time to develop them properly. No one is expecting a Super Bowl. No one's expecting the playoffs. I'm not even expecting 8-8 or 8-9, whatever it is. I don't care. You need to be able to develop this talent properly. This wide receiver group is going to go down as an outlier 100%. They're going to be so many rookie wide receivers this year that are going to blow up stat-wise, and it might change the course of people look at it. No, this crop is just that good. Like when you tell me that Jalen McMillan, who was on that electric Washington offense, is hanging out in Tampa as the number 3 when he could easily be a 2. This class is so insanely deep.
Let me ask you just a one quick. You're saying that they're going to be a top 3 pick in the draft next year. So just a real quick response. I don't need you to get into it real deep. Do they move on from Drake May that quickly if they have a top 3 pick?
I would. Then again, I would go trade for
You
McCarthy.
would, but will they?
No.
Because
I think everyone in the Patriots organization sees the potential in him, and he needs to be redshirted like Mahomes did.
Yep.
Brissett is the correct transition quarterback. He's played in New England. He's played around the league. And he's not a bad quarterback. Jacoby Brissett's a solid quarterback.
You think May sits until about halfway point?
He needs to sit the entire season.
I agree.
Because he's not anywhere near ready. But the Patriots fans are going to want him. It all is going to depend on performance. I do think Gerard Mayo knows what he's doing.
Yep.
And he deserves every benefit of the doubt. The fact that successor to Bill Belichick was written into his contract tells me a lot about what this organization thinks about him.
Yep.
I love Gerard Mayo. I think he's going to be a superstar coach, but this is a growing year and they've started building the foundation properly. This offensive line is not ready to go to the playoffs. The wide receiver room is not ready to go to the playoffs. The defense is. The defense can go hang out in the playoffs right now as a top 10 defense. The offense is getting there, but they're building it properly. They also signed Ramondre Stevenson today to a 4-year, $36 million extension. $17 million guaranteed. For a running back, $17 million guaranteed. With incentives and everything else. That says that they're doing this the right way. For the Bills, look, Miami's going to win the division. They've got 2 wide receiver ones. They've got one of the best wide receivers in football in Tyreek Hill, and they've got one of the best wide receivers in the league in Jalen Waddle. Mm-hmm. And they drafted, who I really liked watching on film, was Malik Washington out of Virginia. And I don't want to hear the Odell Beckham stuff. Thank you. Malik Washington's going to have you a spot by midseason. So
they had those 2 guys the last 2 years, though, too, right?
Yes. And again,
okay. And they didn't win the division those years, though, right?
70-point game against Denver. Just saying.
Ooh. Mm-hmm. And then the next week put up 13?
To your point, though,
I love what the Bills.
I see Kelvin Banks Jr.
Did you just say Kelvin Benjamin Jr.?
Who did you say? Jr.
I don't know who that is.
Kelvin.
Who is that? Kelvin Banks.
That's your left.
Who's Kelvin Banks Jr.
next year? He'll be your number 3 overall pick next year.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I was going to say, Ben, I haven't done any research on the 25 class. Give me a break. The only ones I know of is Carson Beck, Shedeur Sanders, and Quinn Ewers.
We are a team here at Death with Bacon. I'm here to help you out.
I appreciate that. We need offensive line help. If you can give me the best overall offensive lineman, I will take him. Because I wasn't thrilled with the Caden Wallace pick. I think he's a developmental tackle. Troy, your Bills are in a really weird spot. I'm not a fan of Keon Coleman. They see something with him. I think he's going to be a massive red zone threat, which might be what they want to utilize him for. Frank Gore Jr., I think, has a lot of potential. I have no idea who Ray Davis is, and I don't know why I care. I know he's a running back from Kentucky. I know
apparently he's a running back from Kentucky that has really good hands that nobody even thought about. Like, apparently he had a really good.
I'm not gonna lie. I don't think I watched film of him, so I can't form an opinion. By the way, Miami got richer with Jalen Wright, so now they get Achane and Wright. That running game is going to be filthy. But if Coleman can develop properly, you have a red zone threat. You're going to have Kincaid over the middle of the field, who's probably going to. I can't believe I'm saying this. A tight end who's going to get 100+ targets and it could possibly get 100+ catches. It's insane to me that could easily be how Kincaid's used.
Well, I think they'll come out. Like I said, I think they'll come out a lot in the 12 personnel, and I think it'll be very feasible that he might not only line up on the line, but when they want to spread out, he'll jump in the slot.
Yeah, absolutely. Kincaid should be a top 3 fantasy tight end for you this year, guys.
I have not gotten to my tight end rankings yet. I'm still working through my running backs and wide receivers. Absolutely.
Kincaid's top tight end.
Yep. You know who I think was an underrated signing for the Bills that I liked for just this year only was MVS.
Yeah.
Allen doesn't have a field stretcher. Will he make the team? I don't know.
No, I think he does.
I think the MVS signing really helps. And you know what? Claypool can learn from MVS because MVS has played with Patrick Mahomes.
Yep.
Okada is not coming, Ben. Stop dropping a coin.
Oh, so the SMBS dropping the ball when it matters.
Yeah,
Ooh.
but also fair.
He drops
But-
it when
but
it doesn't
again, like,
matter,
to
too.
to just a scheme fit for what Josh Allen needs. He doesn't have a field stretcher right now. Coleman's not a field stretcher.
Unless
Claypool
KJ
could be.
Unless KJ
MVS
Hamler can make the team. KJ Hamler's a field stretcher too.
James freaking Cook is going to be your guy that's going to make people think. He's going to make that box freak out. It's going to make the whole Bills offense better.
I'm worried about Cook.
I'm going to be a jerk here, which apparently I am according to Troy anyway. I'm going to keep it Charlie. Charlie, what's
Go ahead. I'm done. I'm done.
All right. So obviously the Patriots are going to be are going to come in last in this division where they belong, down in the gutter.
About time.
I feel like Buffalo, they're not rebuilding, but they're retooling.
Yes.
And with where they're at offensively, I don't think they have a shot. I think this is a 2-horse race in this division. Kincaid, I wouldn't say top 3 fantasy tight end, but up there.
I will.
Okay, but he still has another tight end that he's going to split targets with. That's the one thing that worries me. And Dalvin's going to get a lot of, I think, the TDs, and Josh Allen, you know, he likes to run them in himself. They're going to get a lot of the TDs down in the red zone. I think they'll bolster some.
Not Dalvin.
So, and Shakira's still on the team too, so he's going to get some passes as well. So,
By the way, quick little pointer, something I've learned from listening to Bill's podcast. Shakir, from the time Joe Brady took over after Dorsey was fired last year, Shakir had 80 less targets and still led the team in receptions and yards more than Diggs in those last 12 games. How about that? That's pretty crazy.
I mean, Khalil
That is
Shakir is.
I do think Kincaid could end up top 5 though in fantasy, but I just think that they're retooling and it's going to take a season for them to do that. I think they'll be probably, they do things right, they'll be right back in the mix the following season. But Miami, they've got a really potent offense. It's crazy that they've added like 2 more running backs, but I just question whether that team and all of their offensive weapons can stay healthy enough to carry them through. You know, I'd like to see Hill get his 2,000 yards, and I think that's going to try. But man, I mean, dude, that guy gets cramps every 3rd game. So, yeah, we'll see if it happens. I don't know, man. It's that humidity down there in Miami or something. It's messing up the calf muscles. But I think that this division is going to be taken by the team that I feel has the best quarterback, and that would be Mr. Aaron Rodgers. And if you want a sneaky who could be a top 5 tight end, Tyler Conklin could have a nuts year, and you can get him into probably the last 4 rounds of your draft in fantasy. Aaron Rodgers under more than any other quarterback in the NFL. Conklin's going to be the recipient of a lot of those. They have a revamped offensive line. Added Tyron Smith, Aaron Moses, and John Simpson. They're going to protect him. They're going to give him all the time that they need. Plus, they got Breece Hall, which will probably be your RB2 on the season when it's all said and done. I mean, they've got some great defensive pieces as well. Plus, a guy like Sauce Gardner can carry a defense. That dude is fast, dude. That guy's a motivator. And then they've got just a great receiving core. Alan Lazard, you know, he's been with Aaron for a long time. They have a great rapport. Yeah, Garrett Wilson, who is a bona fide number 1. That kid can play. It's going to come down to them and the Dolphins. The Jets are going to have more wins. They're going to have an offensive line. They got a defensive line. Games are won in the trenches. They're going to beat up this division this year, just this season.
Well, that was to like my earlier point when I was saying that they should, you know, you could think about was I think they took the right job when they took Fashanu from Penn State. I had to clean up my ears to make sure I heard that properly. Did you say that Conklin could be a top 5 tight end?
Hey, look, Jordy Nelson was nothing but a glorified tight end. Okay, you say
watch football, Charlie?
yes,
Do you watch
absolutely.
football?
Oh my gosh, are you kidding me? That guy.
Get your bulldog eyes
Look at
checked,
that.
son.
Look at that. Look at that build. Look at the way that he played the position. You know who he reminds me of? You know who he compares the best to? Fucking Travis Kelce. Straight
You're
up.
racist.
No.
He's white.
Look at their style of play, the way that they move. Dude, I'm not saying it is a bad thing. I'm not saying it is a bad thing. I'm saying it because Adam wants to say that, well, Aaron Rodgers never used the tight end. But here's the thing. That's what Jordy was. And he was amazing. He was amazing at it. But
Nelson was one of the greatest wide receivers of the 2010s.
He filled the hole of that. So Rodgers,
what the hell am I listening to?
Throws more touchdowns under 5 yards than any other quarterback in the NFL. He uses tight ends in the red zone. He doesn't have a Devontae Adams. He doesn't have Jennings. He doesn't have these guys he can rely on. He's got Lazard and he's got Tyler Conklin and Garrett Wilson. Wilson's not going to really be your short yardage guy in the red zone. It's going to be Tyler Conklin. I'm telling you.
You okay over there?
In your drafts, he has the potential to end up as a top 5 fantasy tight end.
I still can't get over the fact that Jordy Nelson was a tight end.
That's what baffles me.
I'm not saying that. His style of play, he played like a tight end.
Jeez.
Packers fan.
Charlie, are you all right?
Steve away. Now Steve is back.
I'm back. You guys were just making me so scared with all of that talk about that crazy division with oh my goodness.
Help us out here. Charlie is lost.
Charlie thinks that
Charlie
What does Charlie think?
He thinks Jordy Nelson was a tight end.
Jordy Nelson
played like a tight end. Played like a tight end.
Played like a tight end.
It's called a possession receiver, Charlie.
Go back and watch his tape. Go back and watch his highlights.
I watched
Jordy Nelson's great highlights.
Yeah, dude.
Is Hunter Renfrow a tight end?
He moved like a tight end?
Charlie.
What did Hunter have to get into this, Troy?
We should have got Charlie.
Whatever you're smoking and want something, it sounds great, but you're off your freaking rocker, my dude. There's no way. What are you talking about?
I like it doing it for the Packers fans.
Play the game, man.
All right,
Steve, can you save the conversation?
Okay,
I will save the conversation here. I will save. Okay,
please,
let's talk.
On track.
All right, let's talk about. I'm gonna go top level here because I'm next week with the AFC North, and I'm just gonna destroy that division. So get ready for next week.
My Patriots suck. Move on. Okay,
number one, I'm gonna say it's a 2-team race between the Dolphins and the Bills at the top. I think it could go either way. You're gonna have the Jets in third and the Patriots tailing. Josh Allen and Dalton Kincaid have been top picks for me in my fantasy leagues over the last couple of years. Not this year. I am a pass on Josh Allen this year. I don't think it's not going to work out. And leading into our next thing, Ben, I thought it would be fun. I'm going to take a little poetic here. Buy, sell the first 4 games of the division schedules. So the Jets are at the 49ers, at the Titans. They're home against the Patriots, and they're home against the Broncos. I think they're going to go 2-2 during that stretch.
Agreed.
Bills, they start out at home against the Cardinals. Then they are at the Dolphins. They are home against the Jaguars. And then they're at the Ravens. They're going to go 2-2.
2-2.
I think they're going to go 2-2 in that because I think the Ravens are going to give them a heck of a game. And I think the Dolphins are going to give them a heck of a game, which leads into the Dolphins. They start out at home against the Jags. Then they are home against the Bills. Then they go out to the West Coast to play the Seahawks. And then they're home against the Titans. And I think they're going to go 3-1 in that stretch.
4-0.
You're going to go. I think the Titans are going to give them a game. That's right. I think they're going to do okay on the West Coast. I think a lot of people would probably say that would be the game, but I think it's going to be the Titans. So, and then our beloved Patriots.
We suck. 0-4. Move on.
At the Bengals, home against the Seahawks, at the Jets, at the 49ers.
Like I
I'm
said,
gonna be
0-4.
No, they're going to be 1-3.
Who are we beating?
They're going to beat the Jets. Put it on record. They're going to beat the Jets. They're going to go 1-3, and they're going to beat the Jets.
You know we don't have any like actual good wide receivers on this team that need to develop, right?
I-
Sauce Gardner can literally cover all the wide receivers by himself.
It's a primetime game, man. The Patriots are going to want to show up. They're going to go 1-3.
You know Brady and Belichick aren't on the team, right?
I understand that. They're not going to go 0-4.
Yes, they are.
That's my upset special. Put it, Ben, Aaron, put it on record right now. When we get to that week of the season, there's my upset special.
Consider it rack. Look, I'm going a different direction on you on this one a little bit. Look, the Jets lose to the Niners. The Jets lose to the Titans. The Jets beat the Patriots, and they lose to the Broncos.
Whoa.
Okay.
The Bills beat the Cardinals, lose to the Dolphins, lose to the Jags, lose to the Ravens. So I got the Bills 1-3 to start. The Bills are going to do what they did last year. They're going to come in hot late in the year. They're going to be a team you don't want to play when it gets cold. They built that team with those big guys because big guys, we're already slow. Snow doesn't slow us down. Let me play big. Let me play hard when it's cold outside.
Tell him, Troy.
Hey, Troy. This is their last 4 games of the season. At the Lions, home against the Patriots, home against the Jets, and at the Patriots. If they don't go 4-0 in that stretch, we got problems.
They're not beating the
The
Lions.
Lions are the only liability in that stretch. Look, the Dolphins.
That's a stretch.
The Dolphins got the Jags, Bills, Seahawks, and Titans to start. The Jags and Bills games are going to be the toughest ones in that whole stretch, but I think they could be 3-1, maybe even 4-0 to start the season off. What you guys are forgetting about that pass rush with the Dolphins right now?
And they drafted Chop Robinson.
Chop Robinson is part of this conversation. Shaq Barrett's part of the conversation. Benito Jones is part of the conversation. Neville Gallimore is part of the conversation.
Jordan Brooks, who they got from the Seahawks,
Calais
who's been
Campbell
one of the
is
best
part
linebackers of the last several years.
Absolutely. Look, you can throw on Miami. That you can do if you can get the ball off fast enough. But Miami is winning this division handedly. The Bills are easily a wild card team. And the Jets are going to jet, as Troy likes to say. And we will see them
Jets gonna jet.
The Jets going to jet.
I can't wait to talk about the Eagles.
But I am looking forward to changing topics here a little bit because I am still recovering from Charlie's Jordy Nelson take. All right, boys, it's time for buy and sell. All right, so speaking off of last week a little bit, I'm going to start off with baseball because doggone it, I want to. Look, buy or sell, the Grimace Mets show they can win now. Aaron, do you buy or sell? You can pass if you want to. That's
You're
fine.
on mute.
You're muted.
Aaron, say words.
He is
Hey,
scared.
Can
He
you
is
hear
scared
me
to
now?
answer
Can you
the
hear me now?
question.
Okay. I'll pass on that. I'll go. Let's go to Troy. Let's hear him.
Troy, put your brace hat off for a second. Do the Grimace Mets show that they can win now?
Can we go back to a conversation we just had a few minutes ago and change that J to an M? The Mets are going to Met. They are going to Met.
Okay. Okay.
Yep.
I will
fair.
sell that.
All right. Steve, what do you got?
Short-term sell, long-term buy. And the reason I say short-term sell is because they've got a series against the Cubs, 2 against the Yankees, and then the Astros, right in order. Yep. They're hitting a tough stretch here. Even though the Astros are faltering, I still think they're not cupcakes. But then they get the Nationals and the Pirates and the Nationals again. So I think short-term, it's going to be rough. But then I think they're going to have an easy beginning to July playing the Nats and the Pirates.
So break up the hamburger, they're saying. Gotcha. Okay, Adam, what do you got?
This is an easy sell for me.
Okay.
And the reason I say so, look, they have some nice pieces on offense. I still think that they need to get some pitching. Now, look, trade deadline's coming up. If they elect to trade for any type of stability in pitching, then it's kind of a push. But that I think the offense is playing over its head right now. And for the same reason, by the way, that we talk about the offense, Charlie, didn't I tell you that the Braves were going to start hitting? This is like the same thing. You mentioned Braves plus summer equals loads of runs. We talked about this last week. Some of these teams just need times to get there. I think the Mets have overachieved a bit. I like the games against the Nats and the Pirates. But, like, are you telling me it's at home versus the Pirates, which is a pitcher's ballpark? Are you?
No, it's in Pittsburgh, but still
in Pittsburgh, which is a pitcher's ballpark.
They got four. They got 4 in Pittsburgh.
So that means they're definitely going to
to me. I'm going to sell the Mets, and I think they've overachieved the offense over the last week.
Okay, Charlie, what do you got?
Yeah, I'm selling that. I ain't buying nothing about the Mets. And they're the Mets. They still suck. It's a long season. Win streaks and, hot streaks, they happen. But the Mets are still the Mets, and they're still going to collapse. They don't look poised. They've had a rough season as it is. They're not gonna put it together.
No.
As much as I want to buy, I can't be the contrarian here. I've got to go with you boys. I'm selling the Grimace Mets as well. Next question. The Orioles 22.
Well, hang on. Aaron finally wants to answer. Aaron.
Well, no, I was going to say I'm selling.
Aaron doesn't watch baseball.
I watch the Brewers. And I admit I'm selling because the Mets always suck. But yeah. There you go. Next one.
The Orioles 22 straight series wins in the division is significant. Buy or sell?
I'll take this first. Buy. You know what they just did to the Yankees today? They put up 17 on one of the best young pitchers in baseball right now. Heel got lit up. 17 runs. I went back. I was doing content with Street Taco Eater earlier today, and I looked back on DraftKings. I'm like, okay, I got 102 points. Why the frig am I not cashing? Oh, Baltimore put up 17 on the Yankees. Okay, then. Yeah, I wasn't winning money. Like, no, buy. Buy. Like, for the same reason I said this about the Braves. I'm not worried about the Orioles. It does suck they lost Bradish to Tommy John surgery.
Yeah.
But I'm buying the Orioles. I'll take it one further. I'll buy the Orioles to outright win the division.
Okay. I'm actually with that, by the way. Who wants next?
Everything Adam just said, I 100% agree with. Orioles are I'll tell you what, if they keep that young core together, they will be scary for the next 10 years easily. Yep.
And they don't even have Jackson Holiday up full time yet.
Well, he's only 1 for 33 in his career or whatever, but
Yeah.
They brought him up too early. They got overzealous earlier in April.
He also got married too early. Poor kid. Anyway.
What does that have to do with baseball?
Women make the knees weak, Rock.
Got to do with everything, man.
I'm the schedule maven out of all of you, and they're playing either division leaders or top of the division their next 4 series in a row. They go Astros, Guardians, Rangers, Mariners.
Sounds like
next 4. That is a tough road to hoe. It is significant, but here's the thing. I think it's going to end because I think one of these teams is going to take a series from them.
Well, hold on, though. The question was straight
division
series in their division.
Oh.
This is going back to last year. They've won 22 series within their own division.
Sorry, Ben. I misunderstood your question there.
Oh, you're fine. I tend to mumble once in a while. It's my fault, not yours.
No.
But does it matter?
It does matter. I mean, because for the longest time, it's been all about the Yankees. It's been all about, the Rays even in the AL East. Like the Orioles have always been there. They've kind of just shown up, like back to the Cal Ripken thing, hey, the Orioles, great. But I think the Orioles, I look at the Orioles and I look at the Pirates and I look at them and I say, the Orioles did it right. The Pirates did it wrong. The Pirates could be just like the Orioles right now. They're not.
Absolutely.
But the Orioles are for real. And they're putting up the numbers. And they're, as you said, they're putting up 17. Like a couple years ago, like nobody wanted to watch these people. And now I genuinely think that they're giving this division a run for their money. And come October, I think they're going to make a deep run into the playoffs. And I think they're going to continue to dominate this division, as we've said. I think the Yankees should be very, very careful about moving, the rest of the season, because I think the Orioles are coming and they're not going away.
You know what would be a fun World Series to watch? Braves, Orioles.
Oh, yeah.
I agree.
Just from a freaking offensive perspective, that would be amazing.
Well, we'll see. I mean, the Braves lost. I don't know how long Harris is going to be out now, but they already lost Acuna. We'll see what happens with Harris. But, yeah, I mean, they're losing some of their studs here already. So
losing Acuna don't matter.
You still have Ozzie. You still have Olsen.
I love Ozzie.
Still won the World
Series
awesome. Without him.
You still have Riley. You still
Riley's heating up. Murphy had a huge game. The bats are starting to come alive. Olsen steadily getting better, creeping back up there. Those bats.
Well, they realize that they don't have. And let's face it, like Acuna was not off to the best start this season.
No.
So.
Yes,
the less Ozuna gets in,
you'll go get 2 more outfielders because he can. You'll go, whatever.
Where's Jorge Soler?
Yeah. Aaron, do you have an opinion on the Orioles?
Yeah, I'd buy them. That's it.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks for the insight.
Here's one that Aaron, I think.
That's why I get paid the big bucks, guys. This is why I get paid the big bucks. All right.
Here's what I think you'll have an opinion on, Aaron. I will start with you on this one. The MLB All-Star game is antiquated and needs to be moved to the postseason. Buy or sell that concept, Aaron?
To the postseason? You mean like after the season's over?
After the World Series, get me into a showcase of the best, whatever. Get this into it. Do not put this mid-season. Take a week off if you want, but an All-Star game mid-season is bullcrap. Get this out of the season.
Okay. Here, I got an opinion on this one. I disagree with that.
Okay.
But I'll be honest with you, I don't know if there's anything that you can do to make it better. I know MLB's tried stuff. They've tried doing the whole stupid, whoever wins gets home field during the World Series and all that other kind of crap. Look, the money is so big now that guys and I just, the game has changed so much since like we were all kids. Okay. I mean, they all wanted to win. They all played. It was a matter of pride to be in it. And not that they don't care anymore, because I'm sure a lot of these guys probably have. I mean, just like the Pro Bowl in the NFL, you have things in your contract. Hey, you get bonuses if you make it, that kind of thing. And I'm sure they all want to be picked because it's really a popularity contest. That's all it is. But I think we're past the time where guys give their all. Like, wasn't there one years ago where like Pete Rose, just completely ran over one of the catchers for the American League team. And the All-Star game to win. Like that's never going to happen anymore. I'm sorry. It won't, because guys are making a bajillion dollars now compared to what it is. And they don't want to be run over, and they don't want to be that guy to run. I feel like All-Star games. What was that?
I'll raise a question for you then, Aaron. I guess we've seen the NFL go towards a skills contest method now.
I was just that was going to be my.
So would you be more intrigued by? Let's just say, look at spring training. What if you took spring training, opening spring training, home run derby?
Yep.
The guys who you took from the previous season who were elected to that All-Star team go to a home run derby to open up spring training. Grapefruit League and the Cactus League home run derby.
Yeah, I would be more interested in something like that. I mean, to be honest, what the NFL has done with the Pro Bowl is just stupid. I don't bother watching it. I don't have any interest in it. I think it's lame. I'd be more open to, like either a home run. I love the home run derby. I mean, I watched the home run derby for the All-Star game more than I watched the actual game.
Yeah.
It's fun, you know.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I guess I would look. I'm not against them trying different things. I give them credit for trying different things. I'm just not sure if it's ever gonna amount to any, you know, because I guess again we're all well. I'm an old guy sitting around opining on how things used to be, and you know, it's just never going to be that way again. And I miss that. I used to love watching the All-Star game. It used to be a big deal to me.
Right.
And now I'm just like, half the time I forget it's on. It's like, oh shit, the All-Star game's on. That's right. You know, so
exactly.
But yeah, I would say sell the idea of, well, no, I shouldn't. Okay. I will buy the idea of trying something new. How about that?
Agree.
But I'm going to sell I'd sell the idea if you said, you know, the All-Star game can be important again. I'm just not sure if it ever could. And I hate to be negative like that, but
I think we're putting more of an emphasis, Aaron. Sorry, Steve. I want to just build off of Aaron's point.
Yeah.
All the sports, you know what they're doing? The players nowadays are building off an emphasis of they don't want to risk hurting themselves in a game that their teams, not themselves, their teams doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
It's the pitchers. I mean, the pitchers are the big part of this. With how many guys are having Tommy Johns now, you know, sure, hey, let's throw a game and throw an inning. Well, you know what? Something crazy could happen during that one inning that could affect their careers for a long time. I mean, I could even see, I'm thinking outside of the box. What if we went to kind of a more casual all-star game and had a jugs machine throwing pitches? I mean, give the pitchers a break. Let's let a jugs machine just chuck the balls, or have the coaches pitch like they do during the home run derby. Let the hitters, because that's what everybody wants to see. I mean, the biggest things that get the wows during the game, it's not the pitchers most of the time. It's the guys hitting these big towering balls. It's these fielders making these spectacular plays. And then you get a guy like Bud Selig, however long ago that was now, that decides at the end of 9 innings that we can't play any more baseball, even though, you know, you want to find a winner in this whole thing. So, really quick, I think the mid-season aspect needs to stay because it is such an institution of baseball. But it needs a reboot. Something needs to be done. But we don't need to go to the NFL level where it becomes this whatever you want to call it, this show. I mean, watching a bunch of guys play flag football was very boring last year in the lead up to the Super Bowl. But we've got to find a way to protect the players, but keep the fans interested, because it's the young kids. It's that young generation that are seeing their superstars on the field, just like it was when we were growing up. We got our chance to see our superstars on the field.
Yeah, I'm going to buy the idea of the All-Star game needs to change. Keep the home run derby. That thing is fun and a spectacle. But I buy the idea of something needs to change. I'm selling the idea of putting it in the postseason. You know, the NFL switching to a skills challenge. And again, I'm guessing, I don't know if this is it, but to me, it seems that the players, again, they want to save themselves. We're seeing, like I said, Bradish with Tommy John surgery. Gasser is done now, who was, you know, for the Milwaukee fans in here, like, Gasser's done for the season. UCL, like, I want to see what the heck is going on and why are we having all these UCL issues. Is it something in the youth game that needs to be changed? Where did this amount of Tommy John surgeries come from?
Spin rate.
Like, it's
velocity.
It's just it's insane to me. But I'm buying the idea of do something that changes. Ask the freaking players and get a consensus of what they would like to see.
I would rather see the best of the best all have a break in the middle of the season for a week or even 2 weeks. Give us a break from baseball. Let me go be with my family and not worry about what the box score says for a few weeks. Let them get their legs back underneath them. Give me a second half run where they're all fresh, reset, and ready to go. Because to me, injuries are what's making baseball harder to watch. Harder to play games.
I got an idea, and I think I just solved the problem. You ready?
Bring it.
Give us a prospect all-star game with the players that have earned an all-star nod as mentor coaches to a prospect of their choosing from any organization, preferably their own, and let's see how that works. It keeps the guys who earned it fresh. They get to hang out at the all-star game. They get to sign autographs. They get their contract pieces. If they want to go in and play, go play. But let's do something where we give the lower tier levels or even a prospect level. Let's get them involved. Get that group to all the fans now and do something there, and it keeps your other guys fresh.
So you're saying put the futures game that is played during All-Star Weekend, make that the prominent piece now.
But if you want to have a 3-4 inning All-Star game, great. But let the guys with the nods pick a player that they want to mentor. Like, let's just say you have a ranking system. Shohei's the best, followed by Trout, then Ellie. Shohei gets pick 1 of which prospect he wants to coach. Ellie gets pick 3. Trout gets pick 2. Like, have some sort of a system where you get to mentor the next level. You get better if they get better. You're all competing off of each other, and it keeps the other guys fresh. Just an idea.
I got you. Charlie, you haven't spoke yet, have you? Go ahead and give us your thoughts.
His honors are ready.
So I am definitely selling moving the All-Star, especially because we've seen that nobody shows up. None of the good players are going to show up if you put it after the season's over, and then that's just less entertaining. But as far as making some changes, I mean, the All-Star game, I could buy or sell that. It is what it is. It's still entertaining. If you wanted to just cut that game out, though, and give me a home run derby and a strikeout derby. Yeah. And I'll be good to go. Well, give me the top 6 or 8 guys in each in those categories and let them duke it out.
How about a base hit derby?
Done with it. A what?
I feel like that's even more boring.
Because the home run derby really is the best
all we do is flaunt over these guys that hit home runs. But what about these guys that are hitting?
That's a skills challenge every year. That's a skills challenge.
I'm just saying, like, if you're going to home run derby and a strikeout derby, you're missing out on the Greg Maddoxes and the Ted Williams of the games. You know what I mean?
Then
we don't have those anymore, so it's okay.
That's not true though anymore. The game's changing. Look. I'm gonna go through my whole line of questioning on this one. What I would do. I mentioned it already in the conversation a little bit. I would go beginning of spring training, pull my top guys aside because they don't really care about spring training anyway. They barely play. They're doing the minimum regardless. Let them go through and do their little home run derby to get us excited about baseball during spring training. Get our eyes back on baseball in February. Let me watch that. During All-Star Game week, I love the futures idea. Let me watch a futures game. Let me see the pitches highlighted with breakdowns from the analytics folks on the best spin, the best velo, the best exit velo on hits, the best directional hitting, situational hitting from the first half. Let me watch all of that in a highlight package. Let me educate the young fans through a video package, through these pieces. That I'd rather watch midseason, but I want to watch in spring training to get me excited. Directional hitting. Show me a guy who can put the ball into a net on the field in the gap. Show me a guy who can hit home runs in a traditional home run derby head-to-head, who can go in the old format. The new format sucks. I hate the new format. Yeah. Go at the old format again. Like, let me see what guys can carry through. But that's where I see the benefit. Let us see the actual all-pro teams honor those guys. The All-Star game to me just sucks. I don't care. I don't know why anyone watches it. It's all. I mean, you get money because people want to go watch the best players play, but it's just a money grab, and to me it's a waste of time. It's a chance for injury. It's just useless. The futures game I get. Let me watch your top guys. Go Bears. But anyway. Moving on, though, to the NBA. I'm going to give Adam his flowers here, him and his Celtics. The Celtics are the best champs since blank.
Last year.
And the winner is Troy. Yes.
Well done, Troy.
Nailed it right on the head.
Sounds logical.
Yeah. God, that was a boring finals. I'm sorry. I'm glad it was over.
Isn't it crazy? I mean, Adam, I'll let you jump in here. I didn't mean to jump on top of you there, but isn't it crazy how the West was so crazy? There were so many playoff contenders out of the West. Everything all the West teams seem so dominant, and then we get to the finals, and the West didn't seem like they had a chance. Like
it's because the Mavs made it out of the West. If that
probably
was
right,
Nuggets,
you're probably right.
If it was the Nuggets, I would have had the Nuggets in 7, and it would have been
you're
more
probably
entertaining
right.
finals.
Yeah,
If Cat had stayed on his game, and an emerging Anthony Edwards continued to do his thing, and Gobert just did his, Celtics in 6 over the Timberwolves. That would have been a much more enjoyable to watch because of the defense. Mavs don't like to play defense a lot.
No, they don't.
They are a shooting team. They overcame all their opponents with their offense. Luka is one of, if not the best player in the league. And they're a great young team that overachieved this season. They need to get rid of Kyrie. Please stop having 2 primary shooters. Let Luka be the shooter and have someone compliment him, please. Washington was great. Gafford was fine. Lively started emerging towards the end. But again, I would have much rather seen Minnesota. I would have much rather seen Denver. And that's, with all due respect to Luka and the Mavs, you got out defensed. They isolated Luka. They isolated Kyrie. There's nothing they could do. When Porzingis went down, Lively, Gafford, Washington could do more in the paint. There was nothing that the shooters could do. And Jaylen Brown deserved both MVPs, both Eastern Conference Final and Finals MVP. I'm very happy for him. He is the best two-way player in basketball.
Did you guys see the picture floating around of the 2 years that Brown and what's the other guy's name?
Tatum,
yeah. When they got drafted, and the Sixers and Lakers both passed on them. They got Simmons and what was it, Fultz that year? Was that?
They got Simmons the year Brown came out, and then it was Fultz the year Tatum came out.
That's amazing.
Then in the Lakers' defense, they had Brandon Ingram too, so that wasn't exactly a terrible pick for what the Lakers needed. But then you go with Lonzo Ball and everything that he came with, and again, they solid shooter, but I don't think anyone saw Brown and Tatum emerge the way they did.
Just crazy. Yeah. Do you guys think Dallas, do you think they try to build a team around Luka at this point?
Yes.
Or do you think they're going to kind of just stick with what they have and kind of keep going?
This final showed them they can't. This final showed them they need to be able to have Luka shoot and build that interior defense. And I think they've got the young guys to get there. Sign Washington, maybe sign Gafford, or let Lively emerge. But they have no 3. Derek Jones isn't the answer. Josh Green is solid, but he's not the answer. And Kyrie and Luka love to shoot too much. They cut into each other way too much.
I don't follow NBA free agency and like when they're coming available and stuff like that. But is there anybody available? B, if not, is there anybody that's really been talked about on the trade blocks that you think they might go after?
Not that I'm aware. And the free agency just started today.
Okay.
The trade opened up today.
The trade window, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, overall, the Mavs, to me, you're looking at a team that, to your point, I hate Kyrie Irving. I am fully on that train of Kyrie's a problem wherever team he's been on. He has cost teams more wins than he's gained.
Except he gave LeBron a championship in Cleveland.
He didn't give LeBron. LeBron gave him a championship.
LeBron took the championship.
But
I don't know about that.
Yeah, see, I disagree. Hold on. No, I disagree with that. I think
LeBron, I thought Kyrie carried that series, and that's my but
if
was
Kyrie's
solid,
not
yeah.
there, LeBron doesn't win a championship in
Agree.
Cleveland. I'm sorry.
I agree with that.
And you could say the same thing. I mean, obviously, if LeBron's not there,
I
then
think they worked
Kyrie
well
doesn't
together.
win.
I'm not saying, I'm not saying,
I
I'm
would
not
agree
saying it
with
was all
that.
Kyrie, but I think Kyrie was huge in that series.
Yeah.
And I think a healthy New York could have beaten Boston, and then we might having a different conversation of maybe how would New York have played against Dallas, and it might have been a tighter series. But Boston just was the steamroller in the playoffs, and they deserve
have
what
a
they.
conversation.
Healthy,
about New York.
healthy. That's the NBA playoffs, man. You can go through the whole thing.
I
The whole
understand.
bracket. If everyone's all healthy, it changes the whole situation
Exactly.
on both sides.
The Celtics still win. Unless it's the Nuggets, the Celtics still win. They were just on another level. The Knicks are a really interesting conversation. They played a lot better without Randall. They are a really interesting conversation heading into the offseason.
I was really surprised how the Knicks. Thibodeau's known for his defense. That's what he's always been known for. I was just really surprised that the Knicks didn't play better defense than they did. That's all.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, Charles, before you head out here, I got your message here. I just want to ask you, what's your take here? Are the Celtics the best champion since which champion to you?
What was the most recent team to win a championship in any
Nuggets.
sport?
So the Nuggets were last year. The Warriors before
in any
that.
sport.
the Bucks
In
before
any
that.
sport?
In any sport, who was the last team to win a championship?
Well, I guess it would be the Chiefs.
Chiefs, yeah.
Okay, it's them then. Did somebody win like a badminton championship or anything recently?
Pickleball.
Frozen Four. Who won the Frozen Four?
Was that Boston?
This is a joke of a championship.
Denver? Who was that?
You can kill me, Smalls. Cody Rhodes, we can go with them. We can go through soccer championships.
Cody Rhodes.
Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Denver won the Frozen Four this year.
Yeah, I thought it was Denver.
There's a Denver team that won. Denver beat Boston College for the Frozen Four this year.
There you go.
True.
No, I mean, this was kind of a joke of an NBA season almost to me a little bit. I mean, competitively. And a lot of that did have to do with injuries and stuff like that. And it's just kind of the landscape of the NBA right now, especially how the East is built. It's just, buying
or selling JJ Redick, making a difference in LA.
Yep.
Hey, and Rondo may
Love
join
the hire.
his staff too. Apparently, that is interesting to me.
I love the hire.
I mean, I
love the
think
Redick
this
hire.
year, really, it's somebody had to win it. Celtics won it. So I do have to head out. I want to leave you guys with this though. A bear, even if he wears socks and shoes, is still barefooted.
Thank you, Charlie. Have a good
No
time.
problem.
Thank you for the insight.
Absolutely.
Thanks,
Been
Charlie.
pondering that one all day. You guys have a good night.
See you, Charlie.
See you, Charlie.
To answer my own question, guys, I'm actually going with this. The 2018 Warriors, to me, is the last NBA champion that I would go to as being better than the Celtics team.
Yeah.
As far as overall dominance, they swept the Cavaliers in that series. That was the last year of the Warriors dynasty winning. The next year, they lost to the Raptors in the finals, and that's where I look at that run for the Warriors as being really, really a thing of beauty. I mean, say what you want about the Warriors. You can hate those guys all you want. With Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, Durant while he was there, like that was an absolute stud of a team and a run. Well, they had Bogut when they had Lee. Like you had some just phenomenal players coming through that organization. They had some very, very, very good teams that were fun to watch. Harrison Barnes. I mean, you go through the whole
Barnes, yeah.
So that's where I was going with that question there. Switching the NH.
I don't think they were that. I mean, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I don't think they're that much different than last year's Nuggets. I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
To me, the Nuggets were based on the Joker really having his coming out party as being what
How about Murray was unbelievable last year too.
He was. But I mean, end of the day, we finally saw a big man go Shaq on a finals. To me,
I think to Ben's point, if it's just more illustrated, it's when was the last time we saw a dominant five to win like the Celtics did? I think he's right. I think it's 2018. Last year it was the Jokic Murray show.
Yeah.
And those Warriors teams, I think, was the last true dominant starting five that you can put the Celtics team up against.
That's what I'm looking at.
Okay. I mean,
I would throw, even though they only won 2 of the 4 they were in the mid 2010s, I'd put the Spoelstra Heat in there as well.
Okay,
yeah,
I think they'd be a great
fair.
team. Yep.
And that's been going past my own beloved Bucks and their championship in that time frame as well.
Yeah.
You know, fly through this little bit, guys. In the NHL, can the Oilers still win the Stanley Cup? Do you buy or sell?
It is a sell for me, Ben. They have performed as advertised in the last 2 games. I think now they're talking about the Bobrovsky curse. I don't know if you guys heard this. Bobrovsky was interviewed after game 2, and he's talking about what makes Florida so good? And basically his response was, we don't have Stuart Skinner as our goaltender. But McDavid's finally woken up. The players on Edmonton have finally woken up. The problem is it's too little too late. If it was 2-2 at this point or anything of that combination, I would be more, or even 3-2 Edmonton, but 3 Florida. I just don't think Edmonton has 2 more. I think Florida's going to pull out one of the last 2 and be the Cup champions.
Okay.
So I am selling that they are going to be able to complete the comeback.
I will buy, and only because it's hockey. Hockey is the one sport where that 3-0 lead seems to mean nothing. And that's the only reason I'll buy it. I think they have the best player on the ice in Connor McDavid. And something about momentum in hockey is just different.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, that being said, I don't think they're going to do it. But I think they have a very realistic possibility of it happening because it's hockey. There's something about 3-0 in hockey that just does not mean anything. I don't know what it is, but that's the one sport where it doesn't mean anything.
Yep.
Aaron?
There we go.
Okay.
I know. Now I'm on mute. I'm going to say I don't think they pull it off, but I would love to see it happen. And I mean, I was kind of, and I felt a little un-American for this, but I was kind of cheering for Edmonton from the very beginning. I was like, it's been 31 or 34 years since a Canadian team's won a championship in a sport that when I was growing up, my dad looked at it as a Canadian sport, even though, there were other, there were American teams that played in it. It was like, yeah, that's Canada's thing up there. Kind of like how soccer was for Europe and everything else. So it'd be kind of cool, I think. And if we could see some more of the Edmonton Oilers girl, flashing her boobs. It's whatever. I mean, let's be honest.
Look, here's my thing. You got Game 6 in Edmonton tomorrow night.
Yep.
And to me, that's my linchpin. When I'm looking at this, I see a series that's going to go to 7. Period.
Yeah.
And anything can happen in the Game 7. Ask Boston. This is what I'm doing next. Adam, what do you think?
I'm not following it. I got freaking 3 major sports to follow. I did draft content. I don't get time to follow hockey.
You're killing me, Smalls. Come on.
Sorry. Look, I know of Connor McDavid. I don't know anyone besides what I hear about this Bobrovsky guy who's a goalie. I would love to see Connor McDavid actually win something, and let alone, to Aaron's point, to see, McDavid win a championship is what I mean. I'd love to see an actual Canadian hockey team win the Stanley Cup for the first time in however many years.
You don't watch Sergei Bubtitsky? Anyway.
No. I mean, it's a sport that when I've watched it, I enjoy.
Let me ask you this in a different, more general term, Adam.
If I played fantasy hockey, would I care more? Probably.
Is there any sport that plays in a series type format in the playoffs where a 3-0 lead means less than hockey?
No.
There you go.
Hockey,
okay.
Because I've only been to one hockey game, and it is by far probably the funnest sport to watch live.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is
agreed.
I would agree with that.
Incredible. The atmosphere is incredible. you just feel like the way they went up and down, was just you just
Always
I was,
action.
Just
Yep.
bought in. And like playoff hockey, you always hear it's vastly different.
Yes.
And to me,
Yeah.
again, I'd love to see Connor McDavid win one. I think Florida wins it. If not game 6, it's probably game 7. You know, a lot of everyone's saying it's like if it was, I think Steve said if it was 2-2, maybe something different. But Troy, you're right. I don't think a lead in hockey matters because everything can change so fast.
Yep. Goalie gets hot, and that's it. He steals the series. That's it.
Yeah.
To your point there, Adam,
Simple.
I probably set in stone. I'll never get a welcome from Aaron to go to a sports event with him again, like going to a hockey game with him.
Boy.
I'm a little loud at hockey games, but that's another story too.
The best part was when my daughter like slowly started, sinking down into her seat because she was afraid everybody was looking at her and the pimple on her forehead, which I didn't even notice until she pointed it out. So I'm like, honey, I don't think anyone's. They're all looking at Ben screaming behind you.
They're looking at that asshole over there.
Yeah, so I'm picking on some poor 16-year-old kid who's got a bad attitude on the ice.
Just happens to be wearing number 19.
Yep.
19. Oh shit.
I mean, I'll tell everybody, I have been at a Stanley Cup Finals game since Pittsburgh has recently been in them multiple times. And it is true. The atmosphere as you ramp up in the playoffs, there is nothing that is like it I have been at playoff games for the Steelers. They are loud, but when you're in an enclosed building and it just reverberates and you just like pulsates, there is nothing else like that in sports. It is insane.
Penguins belong in Antarctica, not in the continental United States. Anyway, we'll keep going from there though too. Screw the Penguins and is
Thanks,
Trevor
Ben.
Lawrence.
What did the Penguins do in this conversation at all?
Do you see his background? Screw back to Swalmatic. All right.
Also, sorry.
Trevor
since
Lawrence better
we
than
got breaking
Hawk
news.
to him. Hawk to him.
We got breaking news.
What is it?
We got basketball breaking news.
Oh, okay.
And again, so apparently free agency has started.
Hello.
Hi.
From Adrian Wojnarowski,
Okay.
ESPN sources, free agent guard Malik Monk intends to sign a 4-year, $78 million deal, including a player option to return to the Sacramento Kings.
Interesting.
So Monk back to the Kings makes a lot of sense. So
It does.
the next piece of breaking news is Ben is signing with the Milwaukee Bucks to be an assistant coach.
Yeah, they got screwed there. So, but all right. So Trevor Lawrence, is he better than Blake Bortles? The contract says he is.
What?
That stays the same. What's the truth, boys?
Oh,
Steve, did you see the thing I shared today?
I did. That's why I
Ben
asked the
is-
question.
you made Aaron get up and leave, Ben.
Here's the thing. Yes, he is definitely more talented than Blake Bortles. That's not a question. But what just happened to Aaron?
Hi, Ben.
Apparently, the Trevor
Hi.
Lawrence versus Blake Bortles thing just scared Aaron off.
Man. But no, he's obviously more talented. That's not a question. But do the stats back that up at this point? I don't think they do. I mean, it's kind of crazy. But, I mean, Peterson did miracles with Wentz. And we now see what Wentz turned into in the NFL. So maybe we need a year or two for him to work with Lawrence to work his magic here
He's
and
had
get
to.
things straightened out.
Has
Has it been 2 years already? I guess it has.
Yeah.
So
2 years.
did they go in on Lawrence too quick here?
No, I think you lock him up because Trevor Lawrence is very talented. He's never really had an elite supporting cast around him. This is probably, if the wide receivers can emerge the way they should, the best supporting cast he's going to have around him.
I don't know. I don't know that I'm sold on Lawrence. I'll just be.
I'm not
100%
sold either, but would you rather Lawrence or some of the other free agent quarterbacks.
I mean, should have they ever moved on from Minshew?
$5 million.
Yes.
Should have they ever moved on from Minshew?
Minshew is like career. Minshew has the career backup kind of aura to him, though. I nothing about Gardner Minshew ever like said to me like long-term starting quarterback. Like I've just never felt that way about it.
Those jorts feel different to me. Those jorts tell me long-term starter. I don't know.
So
okay, and with that, though, I get some.
Gardner Minshew and Sam Bradford. What's the difference?
There.
The pick they're chosen in.
Yeah,
that's the difference, right? I mean, Sam Bradford, okay quarterback. Gardner Minshew, okay quarterback. You can win games with those guys, but Trevor Lawrence has a natty. Trevor Lawrence has that Garner doesn't. Now,
that's a good way of putting it.
So, I mean, Garner is fun. He's got that porn energy, I guess. But as far as, like, yes, I said it, Adam. He has that porn energy. But if you want Ron Jeremy to
hoping I
quarterback,
didn't hear the other word.
Yeah.
No,
look, I don't know about you, but I would rather have Dan Marino than Ron Jeremy as a quarterback. I think right now I'm looking at this, and I think that you can do something with Trevor Lawrence. Again, I think $55 million is stupid for a quarterback. I don't care who they are. I don't. I don't care if it's Tom freaking Brady. It's stupid. But
that pricing is getting way up there.
But Steve, I want to hear your thoughts. What's your take right now on Trevor Lawrence's situation with the Jacksonville Jaguars?
I got a split, boys. You all have a good one. I will catch you all next week. All right, buddy.
Thank you, sir. See you.
You're welcome.
Whenever I watch Jaguars games, his poise is what impresses me. I don't know what it was. Like I watched him play in college because Clemson, played Pitt, so I saw him. But there was just poise. I see Trevor Lawrence play football, and I don't know. Like I was going to say, like, I'm seriously considering Trevor Lawrence as a possible quarterback option in my fantasy league this year because I feel like he has progressed in his time in the league and he's not been a disappointment. He's been someone that, people in the league like him. He's a very likable person. He's, performed well for the team. I mean, Jacksonville goes overseas to play those international games every year and gets the league the extra exposure. I mean, Blake Bortles is a great quarterback. I mean, he was. But I think if you look at the kind of fit for Jacksonville, it is Trevor Lawrence. And I think that if we get the right surrounding cast around him, we being the Jaguars, I think Jacksonville might be a team that when we get to the AFC South that we're going to have to talk about as somebody who maybe making a run at the playoffs and making noise in the playoffs this year.
Troy, what do you think?
I mean, I kind of said it a little bit earlier, but I haven't seen anything from Trevor Lawrence that makes me think any different than he's just going to be an okay quarterback. Like nothing has stood out to me. I feel like I said this in our chat earlier. Everybody talks about, well, he came back from the Chargers game. He threw 4 touchdowns in the second half. He brought this team back. Great. Why were they down by 4 touchdowns to begin with? Because he threw 4 picks in the first half.
Yeah,
like,
right.
I mean,
every quarterback has a bad game, though.
Sure. I mean, I get that. But I just haven't seen enough to feel like he's anything different than just an average level kind of competent starter. That's all. I don't think he's anything elite.
Okay. Yeah, it's a hard one, right? I mean, I think I look at this and it's Calvin Ridley to me is that weird wild card, right? Now you have Brian Thomas coming in.
Mm-hmm.
You have Gabe Davis coming into that mix for them as well. You have Travis Etienne who's been there.
Mm-hmm.
They've had a good defense. It's kind of put up or shut up this year regardless. That's a lot of money to put on a man who has done exactly what the franchise at this point?
Yeah.
I don't know.
28-point comeback.
But the question is, are we going to see what happened with Russell Wilson in Denver happen with Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville, where they signed him to a big deal and then something goes wrong and they just jettison him off the team?
I think if Peterson gets fired, I think you see Lawrence go with him. That's the reality right now, right? If Doug Peterson does not keep his job past the next 2 years, I think the next coach wants his quarterback.
Yep.
Now,
probably right.
for Jags' sake, I hope that they figure it all out and there's no problems, but you never know. Guys, the last question I'm going to ask for our buy-sell section for the night, I'm going to go to our 4 minutes on high. Does Dak get his big contract from the Cowboys?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
So I'm gonna buy that just because I don't know if Jerry knows what the hell he's gonna do otherwise. I mean, I don't think Dak is the guy to take you to a championship in Dallas, but who the hell else do they have? Unless the brass in Dallas seems to know something about some up and coming, quarterbacks that, some rookie or someone that's going to be in the draft next year or whatever. I don't know what the prospects are for the next couple of years, but I think he's going to end up having to. That's the only reason I would buy it.
Okay.
I'll buy
What
it.
do you think?
Similar to what Ben or Aaron is saying. I do think Dak is better than what he's given credit for. I really do. I don't think a lot. Let's face it. I mean, that team has not been the same since Barry Switzer's been the coach. And you can't throw that on the players that keep coming in and playing well, and then all of a sudden they fall apart in the playoffs. That can't keep falling on the playoffs. Why did it happen to Romo? Why is it happening to Prescott? It can't fall on those guys. There has to be another reason. And I will say, till I'm blue in the face, that Jerry Jones needs to stick with the picking players and the owner portion of things and keep out of the locker room.
Yep.
Because I think that he puts too much pressure on the guys, and that is what's happened, and these guys fall apart in the playoffs. I still think that's what it is.
Okay.
I am going to buy with hesitation. I mean, the headline tonight is the NFL says the Cowboys have 264 days to sign Prescott because the league year has been finalized. And March 12th is free agency next year. And then April, you folks in Green Bay get your time in the sun when the draft shows up. So I think that it's going to happen because I think Prescott is a popular player. He has performed well for the Cowboys. And I don't think the quarterback draft classes these last couple years have been like over the moon. Like, I think they're going to find a quarterback in the draft as the heir to Prescott, but I don't think there's a now either in the league or in the draft that's going to do what Dak has done for the team at this point. So I think that they're going to extend him, but who knows? I mean, I think it's a buy to extend them though.
Yeah. And to Troy's point, let me just mention too real quick. I'm not saying that, that all of their failures in the playoffs the last number of years have been necessarily all on him. Just like a lot of the, failures when Aaron Rodgers was here weren't necessarily all on Aaron Rodgers. I do think Dak is a very, very good quarterback. I just don't think he's a championship quarterback. I can't see them winning a Super Bowl with him. That doesn't mean I do think that there's more to it than that. I mean, their defense looked awful against the Packers last year in the playoffs. It wasn't just, and Dak had nothing to do with giving up 48 points to actually 41 because one was a pick six. But other than the pick six, and you gave one or two more picks, I didn't think he did terribly. It was just the Packers got on him early, and they didn't play well last year when they were playing from behind, which didn't happen often. And I think it just kind of completely threw them off because they were expecting to go in there and roll like they had every other team last year at home. And, I think by the time they realized what the hell was going on, the Packers were up, 21-3 or whatever it was. And that was it. So I'm not blaming all of that on Dak. I just don't think he's a Super Bowl quarterback.
But Aaron, there's one common denominator between the Packers of Rodgers and the Cowboys of Prescott, and that's Mike McCarthy.
Mike McCarthy, sure.
That's
Absolutely.
Mike McCarthy.
Yeah.
A Pittsburgh guy, by the way. So
I wasn't going to bring it up, but yes, so acknowledged.
Yeah. For me, Trey Lance is still the wild card to me in this whole equation. He's still a Cowboy.
Yeah.
There's still a piece hanging out there for me looking at this, and it's if for some reason somebody in that organization says, you know what, Trey Lance just might be the guy the Niners thought he was, maybe that's the leverage they want. I don't know. I think it'd be insanity. I think it'd be stupid, but it could happen.
Yeah.
Dumber things have happened.
Absolutely.
I mean, you look at
There's
what
a reason
happens
they traded for him, right?
Well, right, and they bought low, and it's, I don't know, man. Like, do you want to give $55 million a year now to Dak Prescott? Do you want to
again? That's why I kind of hesitated when I said buy. I mean, I just don't. I don't know if Jerry wants to win another Super Bowl before he's done, and he's. I realize he's the owner, so it's not like he's got to go out and run on the field. But I think it's getting close to him handing it over to his son, and I think he looks at this as his opportunity. I mean, kind of, I think he's going to end up doing it just because, hey, like I think Steve and Troy both kind of maybe even pointed out that he's good in the community. This is a good guy. Mm-hmm. He's a very good quarterback. And what else are we going to do? I mean, this is the market. If Dak doesn't get it from Dallas, he's going to get it from somewhere else.
Yeah.
Because some other team is going to want him or a very high quality quarterback bad enough to give him $55 million.
Yeah. It's. You look at Jordan Love, you look at Dak Prescott, you look at Kyler Murray. I'll even throw Justin Fields, Russell Wilson, Daniel Jones. I mean, all these guys, you think of this and like, do you really want to give that guy that money right now?
Yeah.
I pause. I absolutely pause.
Tua?
Yeah, right. Tua. I mean,
Hawk Tua?
And here's the thing, too. It's not just Dak that's a free agent next offseason. It's Dak, it's CeeDee Lamb, and it's Micah Parsons. What the heck are they going to do?
Well, yeah, and that's just it, though. I mean, you can sew up Micah Parsons and CeeDee Lamb, but then who the hell are you going to throw him? Who's going to be throwing him the ball? It's throwing CeeDee Lamb the ball. So
Cooper Rush.
Yeah. Worked for a couple games last year, didn't it?
What was he? He's like 8-1 as a starter or something, right?
Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, last week we finished off on our segment 4 minutes on high, and I want to just do the same thing again for us here a little bit. So I wanted to go ahead and kick it right away. Aaron, what do you got for us this week?
Okay, all right, yeah. Here's this. So yeah, Troy, I don't know if you saw it at all, but so we wrap up the show. We start wrapping up the show last week and now this week we each get and it doesn't have to be 4 minutes, try to just kind of keep it short and condensed to just kind of a final thought thing. And
Gotcha.
Now, so last week, I mean, we talked a little bit about Ben talked a little bit and Adam both talked a little bit about mental health things. It can be serious. It can be fun. It can be, whatever. Last week I talked about Bill Walton. This week, I want to lighten it up a little bit, but for those people that know me, and I think you three, except Steve, might not know me well enough. I'm a big gamer. I mean, next to sports, gaming is the thing that I love to do in my free time, and especially sports gaming. So we have a little game you may have heard of called NCAA Football 25 coming out on July 19th.
Yep.
I haven't been as excited for a video game, I don't think ever, as I am for this game to come out. I already have it pre-ordered. I'm getting it like 3 days early because I'm downloading it, whatever. And one of the things I've been watching a lot, or watching a few like podcasts, YouTube videos that are doing previews, and everyone's talking about the realism and how they're trying to, I mean, they've been working on this game for at least 2 years, maybe even a little bit longer than that. So they've had a chance to go to, it's been 10 years, but yeah. So, actually, I think I've heard some people say they've been working on it for as long as 4. So anyway, they've had time to go to all the schools. Every Division I school is going to be represented in the game, all 134, I think it is. And they really want to do the realism, fight songs and traditions and all that stuff. So here I am, all excited that I'm going to get it on day one. I'm going to get to go sign up, be the head coach of my Badgers for Dynasty, and I'm going to get to see jump around at the end of the fourth quarter. And what do I see here? EA College Football 25 is set to bring back the immersive experience of college football with iconic songs, making a return to the game. But some fan favorite tunes like Metallica's Enter Sandman and House of Pain's Jump Around are unfortunately not included due to high licensing costs. Hey, House of Pain. Now, is House of Pain, I don't know if they're one guy or are they more than one? Troy, do you know that?
I mean, it's Everlast, and I don't know who the other guy was, but Everlast is definitely part of it, yeah.
Okay. Do you guys really think you're that big? Like
I don't know if they're that Badgers, big, but that song is.
Well, exactly. But I guess my point is the Badgers and the student section and this whole jump around tradition have made that song relevant way longer than it originally was, in my opinion. And now you're going to say that you're too important to give your song over to, like, Metallica's Enter Sandman is iconic. I mean, I kind of get that, but to me, Metallica is a hell of a lot bigger than House of Pain. So all of a sudden I'm like, now I haven't heard anything about what they're going to do. Like if they're going to still have, you see students jump in and have some kind of generic music. I don't know. But I'm just extremely disappointed that House of Pain couldn't, kind of make an exception here to put this, to allow this game to have that song and that tradition. Anyway, that's my 4 minutes. Again, I not as deep or as serious as last week, but yeah, I was a little pissed when I heard that. Go. Thank you, appreciate it. All right, Troy. So, is there what's anything on your mind here that you want to, maybe something you want to get off your chest?
And I wasn't really expecting you to go that route with the Everlast thing. That was pretty good with the House of Pain. So I don't know where to go with this. I'm kind of really, I'm going to go back to where our conversation started here with the AFC East. I'm really curious as to how many teams start adapting this whole philosophy of we don't need a number 1 wide receiver anymore. We don't want to pay a number 1 wide receiver anymore. We're already paying enough for these quarterbacks. Let's just get a bunch of guys that are number 2s, maybe number 3s, and we'll just kind of shuffle in from there and go from there and see what happens. I really think this is going to be the trend from now on. And not only that, having a tight end, granted, I know they're not as easy to get as wide receivers are, but having that number 1 tight end really takes a lot of pressure off of that, having, the number 1 wide receiver on your team. Number 1 tight ends don't pay as much for them as you do for a number 1 wide receiver. I really feel like this is going to be a trend where we're going to start seeing teams maybe almost like we're seeing right now with teams trying to build on that rookie contract of the quarterback. I think we're going to see teams starting to build on that rookie contract of that number 1 wide receiver and then moving on. And it's just crazy to me from the time I was a kid till now, how much the game of football has changed. I remember being a kid, You needed a running game, and you needed defense, and you needed a quarterback not to do stupid shit. And it's totally changed. It has totally changed. And is that the rules? Probably a lot of it. But like now you can get away with a quarterback throwing 20, 25 interceptions a season. It doesn't matter. And it's really crazy to me. Defense does not matter as much anymore. Basically, they need to be good during the playoffs, and that's about it. You can win games 38-35, 41-38. Like it's just the game of football in general has just changed so much, and it's just I don't know. Do you guys have an opinion on that? I know it's supposed to be my 4 minutes or whatever, but I'm just really curious about how the game of football has changed so much, and I'm just curious what you guys feel about that.
Well, go ahead. Go ahead, Ben.
I think defense still matters. That's where the money's going. It's quarterbacks and defense. And I'm looking at where that money trail leads.
Yep.
Running backs aren't getting paid.
Yep.
Wide receivers aren't getting paid. If your old line's getting more money, your defense is getting more money. But you're seeing that wide receivers, to your point, the Packers have now proven when everyone was telling us we're stupid for the last 5 years, and now we have guys that everyone's just like, they're not dumb. Okay, we'll do what they did. I mean, that's what I'm seeing. It's a copycat league. It always has been. When the Wildcat worked for the Dolphins, they want to be the Wildcat, even though it's stupid.
Yep.
I mean, I think you'll still see.
Look at the Chiefs moving on from Hill, right?
Yep.
Right. But I think that's where. But I think you'll see it all in cycles again, though. When you get that generational talent to come by again, the next Randy Moss or Jerry Rice, someone's going to come by again. Maybe it's Marvin Harrison Jr. I don't know. But you get that next guy to change the league again, you'll see that reformat where someone can truly take a game over.
Yep.
A Terrell Owens with a run with the Eagles or the Niners. Mm-hmm. Someone who can go and change the game. That's what's going to take to see someone. But until then, someone needs to correct the market on quarterbacks.
Yes.
You cannot see a quarter of your salary cap, a third of your salary cap going to one player on a 53-man roster. It just doesn't work. But
when he gets hurt in the preseason or the first or second week, and all that money goes down the drain because he's sitting on the bench.
Yeah,
well, exactly. But no, I'm with you, and it's just and you're a Michigan guy, Tom Brady, when he got hurt, and the Patriots season was screwed that year.
Yeah.
So
although they still went 11-5 though, and didn't. I mean,
they did. And look, it made Jimmy Garoppolo a lot of money, didn't it? I mean, that was
Matt Castle that year, actually.
Yeah. Was it? It made him a lot of money too.
Yeah, because that's when he went on to the Chiefs. Yep.
Well, let's see what happens in Buffalo because. Sorry, Aaron.
Well, no, I was just going to say. I mean, I feel like though we're saying the same thing about baseball too. Yeah. You know, where it's like, okay, at some point somebody's got to, but when you can't tell the owners what to do because they're going to do whatever the hell they want. They have the money, so I mean, it's a little different because in one sport you have the structure of the salary or the salary cap, and the other one you really don't. But at the same time, I mean, there has to be some point. I heard the idea floated a couple years ago on Dan Patrick's show. Actually, they were talking about. Actually, it was right around the time that remember when Mahomes signed his $500 million contract, and we kind of found out it wasn't okay. It wasn't exactly, there's a lot of it's not all guaranteed, all that kind of stuff. But I remember Dan Patrick talking about the idea of having two separate caps for each team, and one being a quarterback cap, or so maybe you have $100 million just for your quarterback group, and then another 200 million or whatever it would be for the rest of the team. And it was like, that's actually not a bad idea, and I could see them actually going that way because I just don't see these owners controlling themselves. I like we said, even if Jerry decides not to give Dak $55 million a year, somebody's going to give Dak $55 million a year. It's going to happen. Especially if the Packers end up signing Jordan Love for $50 million, and he's only had, really
a season,
one whole season under his belt. And let's be honest, the last 9 games of that season were really where he took off. I mean, the first half was, it was okay, but it was ups and downs, and then all of a sudden he took off. Now, like part of me as a Packer fan wants to see him do it one more year, but I could see them. I mean, I don't know if they have that luxury of letting him play out this year and then just, well, we hope we can sign him to another deal and hope he has a great year. I feel like they do need to get him locked up also before the season starts, because otherwise then it gets dicey. Not that he would leave necessarily, but anyway, Steve, why don't you go ahead with your 4 minutes?
Sure. Let me just really quick finish up on that. I want to see the Bills as a litmus test in that receiver idea this year with them jettisoning Diggs. Let's see what this kind of moderation of the receiver / tight end room does and how it performs. I mean, that could be a great litmus test for us.
It sure will.
Yep. All right. I want to talk about wagertainment. We had a situation this week with Major League umpire Pat Hoberg getting disciplined for gambling. We've had players, as we talked about in the past, multiple sports get disciplined for gambling, some on their own team, which has now caused them to get banned from their sports for life or multiple year suspensions. I understand there's a draw. I mean, I was in Vegas during Super Bowl week, as I've said before, but I'm getting very concerned about where we're headed. It is driving everything. The money that is bringing in, it's there. But if you look, for example, over in the Premier League, where over in the UK, where betting is ubiquitous, where it's just like, let's talk about gambling on these games. Well, they're restricting advertising from gambling related companies on shirts for the Premier League. And they're kind of taking a reversal of the everyday thought that gambling is just a normal part of what we do. And sure, it's fun. It's cool to do. If you do it, bet within your limits, of course. But I think we just have to be so careful in sports these days, because there is such a temptation to do something to improve yourself or to make yourself known. And sometimes, unfortunately, it's for the wrong reason. And I mean, think about the Arizona State point shaving. I think it was the Arizona State point shaving scandal. Think about Tim Donaghy in the NBA in the past. And we're still seeing these things happen, and they're happening more and more because of the prevalence and ability for someone to just grab their phone and place a bet when it's convenient for them. And sometimes, unfortunately, it's where they shouldn't be placing a bet. So it's something that's just troubling to me that it's coming to the surface more and more across multiple sports, that, we're seeing this wagertainment really come to the forefront, and we'll see what happens. And Aaron, to your thing, don't forget, back in the early NCAA games, you could import your own music. You could put a CD into your drive and you could download the songs you wanted for the fight songs for your team. I don't know if they've confirmed it yet, but I think that hopefully might be your way around to jump around into the game.
Well, hopefully so. And to your point, Steve, with all this stuff coming out now, it does make you wonder how much was it going on in the past that we didn't even know about. They're catching it now because it's becoming such an ingrained part of our sports that, now there's better tracking of it.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of like really anything in society. When you start seeing more and more of it happen, you wonder, well, is it just because, human trafficking? Okay. Human trafficking is blowing up right now. Well, was it always really a big problem and we just didn't know about it because there wasn't social media and there wasn't, all the internet and all these different things? Or is it really becoming a bigger problem now for sports betting? And maybe that may have been a bad example, but for sports betting, like, is it, are there guys that used to do it that don't do it anymore because they're afraid they're going to get caught? So it's interesting because it's definitely a problem, but the money that's there is just way too much for these leagues to pass up. I mean, it's, which is too bad, because you got Pete Rose who, can't even go into the Hall of Fame because he, I don't know. That's a whole nother topic for another show.
But I think the big thing to finish up, Aaron, is just that now there is all of these integrity. I mean, there's a freaking organization that literally sits there and monitors the trends on every game, everything. And now they're trying to eliminate props for college sports and all this other stuff because they think yeah, but it was happening before when there was only 2 or 3 states where you could gamble.
Yeah.
The guys were just doing it under the table and we didn't know about it. Now there's just so much tracking and reporting where the second something looks off, they're shutting down the betting or they're telling the league, hey, we saw a 3-point move on this game in a matter of 4 hours. Like, did something happen that we don't know about, kind of thing?
Yeah, exactly. Ben, how about you? What's your 4 minutes today, bud?
Last week I went pretty heavy on you guys. One of the very serious topics near and dear to my heart. I'm going to say near to my heart. A lot more lighthearted this week, guys. I'm going to tell you to go fishing. Go fishing. It's good to go clear your head. You don't have to catch a fish. Country song that talks about
in the dark.
Well, this country song talks about fishing with their daughter, and she thinks they're just fishing. But it's more than that. It's one of those things that you go out there, get that time to be with somebody, make those memories. Catch a fish, great. If you don't catch a fish, who cares? Go make memories with people you care about. Go spend that time to have the conversations, and just spend time away from your phone. Turn it off. Just enjoy life for a minute. It's amazing what can happen, and it's I can tell you right now, my favorite moments have been the last few weeks. The time I take my son or my daughter to go out in the boat and just go sit there and just soak a line and catch a fish. Cool, but we've had just great conversations. So it's a good time, and I hope that you guys have similar times that I've had, and it's definitely worth the time. And it's coming from a guy who's a sports degenerate. I love to watch my sports, but I've missed games just to go sit in the boat with my kids, and it's worth every single stinking second. So
I'll be fishing next week, brother.
There you go. I love it. And I'm excited to get to take a chance 4th of July week to go fish Lake Gunnersville finally. It's one of my bucket list lakes to go check out down in Alabama. So excited for that one too. But with that said, guys, I'm going to play us off, and thanks for the conversation. See ya.
This shirt don't fit like it used to, and I need another notch on my belt.